My girlfriend and I might be being stalked. Hey Reddit. I'm a long-time user, but due to the nature of this situation I decided to use a throwaway. Trigger warning for baby death, abuse, stalking, etc. Also apologies if this isn't the right sub. We just need answers. My girlfriend's mother is a long-time heroin user and has been in and out of jail for my girlfriend's whole life. When she lived with her mother and her mother's husband, she witnessed physical abuse and drug activity. She was forced to move out at a very young age in order to stay alive. She thought her mother was finally clean when her mother announced her pregnancy. After getting over the initial shock, my girlfriend decided to be supportive of her mother since she thought she was clean. That was until her mother overdosed while pregnant. She decided to cut all contact at that point. My girlfriend is also a mandated reporter and last year reported her mother and her mother's husband to the state since she knew it wasn't a safe situation for the baby. The baby died in their house not even a month after birth due to an overdose with signs of physical abuse. My girlfriend's mother was arrested for the murder of her baby and other charges. Her husband was arrested for child endangerment and other charges very recently. At first, the judge did not grant either of them bail. Eventually her husband was granted bail, in which he posted. We did not know this until recently, which helped us put some of the pieces together. My girlfriend and I like to sit outside her house in the car and just chat or listen to music. Recently, there have been black cars around my girlfriend's house. She also is frequently followed by black cars when she drives me home. It's the same couple of black cars that do this. They're not just random ones. At first we thought we were just paranoid since everyone was still in jail. But when we found out that the husband was out of jail, we began to doubt our insanity. The first major thing happened after my girlfriend and I went on a dinner date. We got home after dark and sat in her car for about 45 minutes before we noticed the same black car passing by us every few minutes. After 10 minutes of that, a different car drove towards us, flicking its high beams on when it got close enough for us to see who was inside. It swerved into the oncoming lane and I genuinely thought it was going to hit the passenger side of the car. It sped away and we ran inside. After that we started noticing the black cars more and more. This past Wednesday morning, around 3 a.m.-ish, the same distinct black van that we had been seeing pulled up outside of my house. This was weird because my GF and I live about 30 minutes from each other in two separate cities. A man got out of the van and shined a flashlight through my yard. Scanning it, he shined the flashlight up at the window I was sitting at. Kept it there for a second. Then walked 30 feet to an empty driveway. Scanned around there for 20 seconds before getting in the van and peeling away. The windows were ice covered and frozen, so I couldn't make out the specifics of the van, but it was strange. A few nights later my girlfriend and I spent some time hanging out in the car when we spotted a black van hiding behind another parked car further up the street. We could only see one headlight, but it creeped by us as we sat in the car. My girlfriend lives between two dead-end streets. Think of a very blocky U. She loves between the two prongs. The van went up the first dead end, 4 ways on, and sat for a few minutes before turning around and driving almost into the other lane of traffic to get close to us. It then went up the other dead end and stayed put. We thought it was weird that the van didn't just back out of the first dead end, instead opting to drive all the way up the narrow street and turn around. After a few minutes we call a friend and recount the story just to get an extra opinion. While my girlfriend was talking to our friend, I got out of the car to go for a cigarette and to see how far away the van was. I walked up the dead end that the van was on for about 15 feet before getting the worst gut feeling I've ever gotten. Across the street from me was a black mass. which was darker than the darkness around it. I decided to just turn around and rush my girlfriend into the house. Later that night we heard a bang coming from downstairs, followed by what sounded like a boot on wooden stairs. We locked the bedroom door and I sat against the door with a baseball bat, hopeful to barricade it. A few minutes later we heard a car door slam before the sound of tires squeezing and a car driving away. Our initial idea was maybe it came from the TV, but we had paused it and the TV in the next room is never loud enough to feel real. When I went downstairs an hour later to get water, there was nothing damaged or missing. We theorized that maybe it was the sound of the front door trying to be opened even though it was deadbolted. My girlfriend's exterior wall doesn't face the road and we've never heard car sounds before. It is, however, next to a private driveway, and sometimes we'll hear her grandparents' car door close or the neighbors backing out. The next day I was shoveling the sidewalks at my girlfriend's house, an activity that took about 20 minutes, and I saw the same black Chevy Silverado with mud streaks on the tailgate. It circled the block about 4 times. I was able to see the silhouette of the man driving through the passenger side window, and each time it was the same man and same truck. My girlfriend lives in a small town and we were able to catalog the neighborhood cars. The black van and truck are abnormal. Our theory is that someone is trying to scare my girlfriend into not testifying, or flat out making sure neither of us ever have the ability to testify. We really just need more opinions. Are we just paranoid, or is this something we should actually be worried about? Do you think these are just weird coincidences? House sitting last spring. Friends went to Mexico for a vacation and asked me to house sit and take care of their dogs while they were gone. They pay me $40 a day just to sit around and let the dogs out when they need to go. I am disabled, so that helps a lot. This is a semi-rural area and houses are roughly a quarter-mile apart. Police have to come from town, 15 miles away, and response time can be well over an hour. I always take my pistol with me. It's always been quiet when I've stayed there. This time was different. I was in the shower when the dogs started barking and growling. They are big, large German shepherds and one is actually police trained. The owners loan him to county as a drug dog, and if you tell them to be quiet they obey. This time they didn't, so I went on high alert. I shut off the water and looked out the window. I didn't see anything, but when I walked out of the bathroom I saw a shadow go across the bedroom window. They have lights around the house that stay on all night. I whispered to the dogs to hush and they did. That's when I heard a man's voice. I couldn't make out everything he was saying, but I distinctly heard 2 words. Come around. So I am sure there was more than one person. I ran into the living room with my pistol and saw the door handle turn. I yelled, "I have a gun and I will fucking use it." I heard feet run away. I was telling Siri to dial 911 and got the county sheriff fast. She said there were 2 cars on another call not far away, but it would take about 20 minutes for them to get there. That's better than the usual hour. But I was pretty shaken. I explained that I was on a farm and would have to go down to the road and unlock a cattle gate to let them in, and to please tell the officers that I would be carrying a pistol and please don't shoot me by mistake because I was not going outside the house without it. The dispatcher said, "Oh, no, do not go out there without your gun. I will tell them." The one good thing about living in a red state. She asked if I could see the road and I can. So she said to wait in the house until I saw blue lights. I hung up and called my friends in Mexico. Their camera footage can be downloaded via app, and they said they would go through it while I wait RD for the cops. I locked the house and went down to the gate when the police arrived. They searched the whole place, including the barn, but didn't find anyone. While they were looking, my friends texted me the camera footage. There was a man on the porch. Unfortunately, the cameras were not angled to get a shot of his face. And it was of course dark. I still think there was more than one creep because of what he said, "Come round." The police were very nice and said they had passed a man on a bike on the way, which is strange for this area, especially at night, and went to look for him. But that's all they could do. They took a full report but never caught the creep. My husband came and stayed with me the rest of their trip. One of their neighbors said he found a tent and some gear in the woods a few weeks before. So somebody was living back there. Maybe a homeless person from town. I have house sat again since then and it was quiet. They are going away again for Christmas and I will be there again. A lot of people ask me if I would have shot the creep had he broken in. Yeah, absolutely. I would be sorry I had to hurt somebody. But if it's them or me, yeah. Creepy porch guy. Let's not ever meet again. My stalker still hasn't given up. It's been over a month since this nightmare first started. If you haven't already, read my last post. It has some relevant information to this scenario. The man who has been watching me as I come home from school has started walking back and forth to and from the sidewalk in front of my house again. He has done this 3 times since my last post, and every time I've seen it I've been home alone. I've called my mother to let her know every time he's been around, and we have contacted the police to tell them that he keeps coming by our house, but they haven't been able to do anything except record it, since he's never actually stepped foot on our property until recently. Starting this week I started noticing tapping and scratching sounds from downstairs starting as soon as it becomes dark. It's been worrying me a great deal, but I've been too scared to look outside until recently because my dogs weren't barking, and they always do if someone strange is outside. When I finally got the courage to look out, I saw a person hunched over a few feet away from the entrance to our house. I couldn't see any of their facial features because they were wearing a large hoodie and keeping their face down. It looked like they were scraping something across the siding of our house. Immediately I dialed the police and hid somewhere in case they wanted to break in. As soon as the police arrived though, the person ran off and was not pursued. I spoke with the police when they started to check things out, but again, nothing could be done as there wasn't any proof that anything had even happened at all besides them seeing him run off. They said they'd be keeping an eye on it in the future, but at the very most it was only trespassing. I brought up the fact that I was attacked not long ago by some strange man and that I thought they were the same person, but I was once again brushed off. The police said it was possible, but without any actual evidence that they were the same person. Nothing could be done since I couldn't accurately recognize the person outside my window, and I also wasn't seriously hurt. I don't know what kind of evidence is needed to do something about someone stalking a minor who is home alone, but apparently I didn't have it. This morning a small brown package was left on the doorstep, and in it were pieces of electronic parts that I did not recognize and plastic shards with the crumpled newspaper at the bottom and a note that said, "Sorry," with a frowny face at the top. My mother notified the police, and again, they said they'd just keep an eye out for anything suspicious. I feel like they're not doing anything and that they won't do anything until I'm seriously hurt or worse. I took some advice from some previous comments, and now I keep glitter spray with me when I walk home from school, along with my screwdriver and a knife in my room just in case someone breaks in. But I can't do anything else, and I'm not confident at all that I could win a fight against a fully Grown man. I'm worried about what will happen in the future and I don't even feel safe in my own home. Even when the doors are locked, I check every possible place someone could be waiting for me before settling down, but I don't think it's enough. Any advice is welcome. More than anything, I just want him to leave me alone.